And welcome back to the show, everybody. Glad to be back. First show following the Masters, and all this brought to you by our friends at Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. The PGA Tour playing Harbortown this week, which is a Pete Dye design. And Pete designed 4 incredible courses at Casa de Campo, including Teeth of the Dog. The other courses are great. I like them all, but those 7 ocean holes on Teeth of the Dog are spectacular. Go to casadecampo.com, plan a family vacay, and I guarantee you, it'll be very memorable experience, to say the least. All right, let's introduce our next guest. Man, I used to cover all the time on the PGA Tour. I'd walk inside the ropes with Brendon DeJonge time and time again and interview him over and over again. And I had no idea when he was one of the best ball strikers in the world that he would ultimately become one of the best media people in the world. Brendon, first off, it is great to see you, my friend. Welcome home. You're on the road more than I am.
I know, Doug, and that's probably not a good thing. I guess it's because I'm cheap.
Well, yeah, we're all trying to save a buck here and there, right? Hey, tell me this. I saw your X account, and I follow all your stuff. PGA Tour player turned media man. That says it all right there. And for our viewers and listeners, Golf Channel, PGA Tour Live, SiriusXM Radio, he does a great show with Johnson Wagner. I mean, you are busy, but talk about the transition now, Brendon, from being really a top-notch player in the PGA Tour, and now in your mid-40s, you've transitioned to the media side. It's obviously gone very, very well.
It has gone well, Doug. And honestly, at first, I didn't know if it was something that I really wanted to do. My agent kind of sent me down to Ponte Vedra kicking and screaming. I didn't really think that this was what I wanted to do, because at the time I wasn't really enjoying the game of golf, but it was more I wasn't enjoying playing than the game of golf itself. So yeah, I wasn't entirely sure that this is what I wanted to do, but went down to Ponte Vedra, and I remember shadowing Gary Christian and Paul Stankowski for the first week that I was down there. And I sat in, and it's long days. You sit in the studio for a long time, and I absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being able to give what little knowledge I have, or give my insights on the things. And it was a lot of fun that first week, and I guess I didn't embarrass myself too badly. Got a call back to come and cover 3 or 4 the next year, and then that's just kind of grown and grown. And honestly, Doug, it really is something that I am enjoying. You said that I'm busy. It's good busy. It's a lot of fun.
You're very good at it. It's interesting, and I think back, and it was probably 15 years ago when I'm inside the ropes doing the play-by-play, and I mean, you were on a roll. I think you had 7 top 10s that year, maybe in 2010. I was interviewing you all the time, and you were a player. And obviously players are very guarded, and we never ask too tough questions after a round, but I'm impressed how you have kind of segued into this part of your career where you have really solid opinions, Brendon. Not anything outrageous, but I mean, you tell it like you feel it. Was that a hard transition to go from player where you don't really want to say anything negative about your guys, not negative, but just anything on that side, to now where you're paid to give your opinion?
It's such a good question, and that was difficult at first. And the hardest thing for me was, now obviously, you know how it is in the media, where you're often covering the best players in the game, the McIlroys, the Schefflers, now Cam Young. And these are guys that are much better players than you are, that these guys could typically beat you with one hand tied behind their back. And now you've got to be critical of certain shots they hit, certain decisions they make. And that's not the easiest thing to do. And there's certainly, you develop kind of your way of doing it. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. But that was probably the hardest thing, was now all of a sudden you've been doing this for so long. Now you've got to be critical of guys that are better players than you.
Yeah, that's interesting. And of course, the radio show, you and Johnson Wagner, another guy who I covered all the time out on PGA Tour Radio, it's Wagyu and Filet. I used to like it when you guys were at night. I know you prefer the morning show now, but when I was driving late at night from Jupiter up to Ponte Vedra or back, I used to love listening to you guys. What a great team. I mean, I guess you guys have been friends for a long time, but you have to have chemistry, Brendon, for a show like that to work, in my opinion. And did you guys hit it off immediately?
Well, we lived together for 3 years in college, Doug. So
there you go.
It was very, very easy. I mean, Johnson and I have stories on each other that certainly cannot be shared on air. I could bury him. He could probably do the same to me. But it was very, very easy. Obviously, a lot of chemistry there. And that's the good thing about the radio show, is that we can sit there and we can fill an hour very, very easily, even if there's not a whole lot to talk about in the golf world.
Yeah, you guys are great. You really are. And you're funny. You say things that you just make me snicker as I'm driving around. Tell me about Wagyu and Filet, the name. I know there's a story behind that.
Yeah, so I was, for a long time on tour, I was Filet because my last name is DeJonge. So it was Brendon DeJonge, Filet Mignon. A couple Australian caddies nicknamed me that. Shannon Wallace, I think who caddies for Ryan Palmer now. Big Shannon, been out there forever. And then I believe it was Drew Stoltz, the sleazy man that nicknamed Johnson Wagyu. So it made a lot of sense. It was something very different. But thankfully, our producers didn't nix that one quickly, and they let us go with it.
Well, I will say Wagyu and Filet has a certain ring to it as opposed to DeJonge and Wagner.
Yeah.
That works better, you know? Hey, tell me this. You got back from the Masters. I thought it was interesting. I mean, we're kind of on the golf side of things. Of course, I listen to all the shows, and some of these guys who are not golfers have the hot takes, right?
Yeah.
And yesterday, the hot take was it really fair for Rory, while the other guys are playing in Houston and San Antonio, to just take unlimited flights up to Augusta to play and then go home? And he did it multiple times. I mean, Brendon, that's been done for years. Jack Nicklaus used to do that way back in the day.
You know, Doug, it drives me mad when you said it, they're hot takes. People say something
Yes.
without having any knowledge of what they're saying. Every single player in that field has the ability to go to Augusta and play as many rounds as they want prior to the Masters. It's one of the benefits of having qualified for the Masters tournament. Now, I will say this. I thought Rory was doing the wrong thing by taking 3 weeks off. I thought he needed some competitive reps. After listening to him talk about his preparation, I'm doing a complete 180 on that. I think he prepared perfectly. I think we're going to see more guys using that sort of preparation going forward. It might not be 3 weeks off, but it'll be guys taking a couple weeks off and making scouting trips to Augusta, which again is allowed for everybody in the field.
You know, it's interesting, Brendon, because I'm a lot older than you are, and I remember back when Jack was in his heyday, and he never played the week before a major. I mean, that was a big deal for him, and oftentimes 2 weeks before, because he just simply wanted to get the game fine-tuned before he went and played. And obviously, the results were pretty good for the Golden Bear.
Exactly. Tiger was the same way, Doug. Tiger would never play the week before the Masters. And you find what works best for you as far as a rhythm. Some guys like the competitive reps before you go and play in a major. But I thought Rory, after listening to him, I thought his preparation was spot on. The fact that he talked about, you know what, I'd played that golf course enough times where there was nothing that was going to surprise me. There was nothing that was going to seem weird. And again, I think we're going to see more guys doing that going forward.
Well, and the one thing that I really enjoyed was he relished in the fact that he was the defending champion. He did not miss a moment. I mean, he was there Saturday for the women's amateur championship. He was there for drive, chip, and putt. He was there, obviously, for the champions dinner. He was there for the par 3 tournament. I mean, he didn't skip anything. He was just, I'm here. I want to soak it all in. I thought that was really cool for a player of his caliber.
I thought it was magnificent. Honestly, the whole 365 days leading up to this Masters, I thought was magnificent. The fact that the Green Jacket had been to India, that it had been to Australia, that it had been to places it had never been before. I thought Rory could not have been a better ambassador for this tournament, and they have to be thrilled that he's going to get to do that again for this coming year. But what a fantastic tournament again. It just never fails to deliver.
No, it was fun, even though at the end he was leaking oil again, Brendon, just like he was 2 years ago, but that made it even more exciting. Hey, tell me this. Obviously, you are from Zimbabwe, not necessarily Europe, but you know the importance of Seve Ballesteros in the game and what he did, and obviously Nick Faldo with 6 major championships. Is Rory the greatest European golf champion of all time? I mean, that's a major statement.
Without doubt, Doug. Without doubt, he is. I think it was a small debate before this past week, whether it was him, Nick Faldo, or Seve. Obviously, we can't ever take away from what Seve did for European golf, but without a doubt, Rory McIlroy is the greatest European of all time, and there's no signs of him really slowing down either.
36 or 37 years old now.
Yeah.
And even Jack Nicklaus, when he sent him his congratulatory note on Sunday night, and even President Trump on his Truth Social account, they both implied, listen, this guy's in the prime of his career. I mean, this wasn't the end. This is potentially the beginning of another, who knows, 4 or 5 year run.
And you know, Fred Couples said this, and it was tongue in cheek, that Rory may never lose this thing again. Talking about the Masters, obviously that's not going to be the case. But for the youngest time when Rory was young, we talked about how Augusta National suited his game absolutely perfectly. Now that he's got a couple of these green jackets behind him, I mean, what's to say that Rory's not going to rattle off maybe 3 in the next 6 or something along those lines? Because it really is a golf course that is tailor-made for the way he plays golf. And then you look, the fact that he was able to win this last week, even without having his biggest weapon. He didn't drive the ball very well at all the first 2 rounds. He straightened it out a little bit into the weekend, but there's nothing to say that Rory can't go on some sort of tear. And then you couple that with the fact that if you look at his US Open record, it's exemplary. It's brilliant. He hasn't been able to win one since 2011, but his US Open record is excellent. So don't be at all surprised to see him knock off a few more majors coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Faldo never won the U.S. Open, never won the PGA Championship. And really, after he won his 3rd green jacket, that his career kind of tailed off after that. So, you know, it is different when you compare and contrast. All right, we're in the midst, I was talking yesterday on CBS Sports, we're really in the midst of the Scheffler-McIlroy era, or maybe it's the McIlroy-Scheffler era, you know, after the Masters win. But there is a separation, Brendon, between the top 2 guys in the world and everybody else, even though I think the competition is maybe greater now than it's ever been, with more guys with an opportunity to win some of these big tournaments. But there's a distinctive gap, don't you think?
Yeah, very much so, Doug. And you look at the recent majors, the winners, the Scheffler, McIlroy, look at the Masters winners, where they got 4 of the last 5. There is a gap. The separation feels like it's growing as well. We're waiting for that number 3 guy to really start pushing these guys. I think Xander is on the up and up. I think we're starting to see more and more good results from Xander coming back off that injury that he dealt with last year. But it's a noticeable gap at the moment. And honestly, we don't have a clear number 3 right now.
I mean, Cam Young is number 3 in the world rankings, and obviously Players Championship, final group on Sunday. So his game is trending. He just needs to win a little bit more, right?
That's exactly it. You know, Cam Young, I would say that's fair that he probably is the 3rd best player in the world right now. But, you know, when you look at the whole body of work with just two PGA Tour wins, there's the argument right there that Cam Young does need to win some more. But in saying that, he's starting to put his name up there in these big tournaments time and time again. And this guy's got the makeup to play well in these big events.
Yeah, he has a personality. I like that stoic nature of his. He doesn't seem to get too up, too down. Kind of that killer mentality, you know, the hitman mentality is what I like to call it. All right, Brendon, I got to ask you about the schedule. I know next year we're all kind of waiting to see what the new schedule entails, but we're kind of getting a taste of it now. You have the Masters. You go to the RBC Heritage at Harbortown, which is a signature event. Rory isn't playing, taking a week off. I can understand that. Then you have the team deal, and then you go to another signature event, the Cadillac Championship. The tour returns to Trump Doral, the Blue Monster. I mean, this is kind of what the new commish Brian Rolab wants, right? More big events with the big names playing more often? Is that kind of what you get the feeling is going to happen?
Yeah, to an extent, Doug. But I do like the fact that when Brian Rolab gave his sort of state of the tour address, that there is going to be a change in the way that these signature events are structured. That we're now going to go away from the 70-person field to 100. We are going to have a cut in all of these. I really don't like the way they are right now, speaking of the signature events. And to be honest, I don't really care for the way the schedule is either, that it's so front-loaded with all of these signature events, and then you get into the summer, and Travelers is really the only one in the summer as far as signature events. So I don't really like the way the schedule is right now. Plus, if you're one of those guys that's not in those signature events, it's so hard to get into a rhythm when you're playing 1 week and then you're forced to take a couple of weeks off and then you get to play a week again. You know, I think that little stretch between the Players and the Masters was the first time that a lot of these guys got to play 3 weeks in a row, and that's so difficult to get into some kind of rhythm when you're forced to take these weeks off.
Yeah, Brendon, and I thought it was interesting at Harbortown this week. The first alternate waiting for somebody to WD is Brooks Koepka. When was the last time Brooks was out on the putting green waiting for the PGA Tour official to come over and say, "Hey, you're in"? I thought that was I got a snicker out of that actually.
I actually didn't know that Brooks was first alternate. That is funny. Well done to him for actually playing his way into that first alternate.
Yes.
He's obviously starting to play some good golf right now.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, am I reading that right? Brooks Koepka is the first alternate, and sure enough, and he very well, by the time we get our show up in the air, he could be in the field, who knows, but I thought that was pretty funny. All right, tell me this, because obviously the two missing components of the Masters, the Champions Dinner, Tiger and Phil. We know what's going on with Tiger. Phil, something's going on with the family health-wise. Brendon, where do these, I mean, Tiger's arguably the best of the best, right? Even though I'm a Jack Nicklaus guy. You can't compare eras in the game of golf. And Phil is one of the greatest of all time, the greatest left-handed golfer. I think that's easy to say. But where are we with Tiger and Phil? Because they're the two greatest, and they're obviously not going to play or be competitive anymore on the regular tour. Where do you stand on the two great players?
Well, I'll start with Tiger, Doug, and honestly, I don't care if we don't ever see Tiger play again, and I mean that in the nicest way. That I just want Tiger to get right, to get healthy himself, to where he can enjoy time with his kids, where he can enjoy watching Charlie's blossoming golfing career. He's obviously acknowledged that he needs to get some things straight, and I think everybody knows that. As I say, I don't mean it in the worst way, but I would be just fine not watching Tiger play again and just knowing that he's got things going in the right direction from a life standpoint. As far as Phil, I'm really not sure what's going on there, Doug. I don't know. Obviously a health issue. He played once. He played in the live event in South Africa, which obviously is a long way to go for just the one event, but obviously dealing with some stuff at home. I don't think we're ever going to see Phil competitive again. We'll see him tee it up at Augusta. I have no doubt about that in the years coming, he will continue to play Augusta and probably continue to play all the majors that he's exempt into. But obviously at what Phil is now, 55, I think the best days are behind them. It was very enjoyable to play as part of the Tiger and Phil era. But yeah, just hope that both of these guys get their health right.
Yeah, Brendon, the hardest thing for any sport is for the great champion to say goodbye. In golf, you can hang on longer, obviously. These guys play into their 50s, and Phil won at Kiowa, the PGA Championship. I mean, that was an incredible week as he won as a 50-year-old. But I don't care whether it's golf or basketball or football or whatever. It's hard for the great ones to say goodbye.
It is, Doug, and well, Father Time is undefeated, right? But
yes,
it really is hard to say goodbye when this is your whole livelihood. This is your life. This is what you've done. This is what you've known for those guys. I mean, really, for the better part of 40 years for both of them. They've been training for these moments to be these guys, these professionals, and now all of a sudden you don't have that anymore. It's very, very difficult to move on to that next chapter.
Yeah, and I admire both of these guys, not for anything other than the fact that I was inside the ropes for some of their greatest victories, and the exhilaration that I felt calling these shots, and I love the game, was pretty darn special, to say the least. All right, I got to ask you this before I let you go, because it is amazing. I mean, once we have the Masters, we have a major championship every month, and in just a few weeks, we'll be at Aronimink in Philadelphia for the PGA Championship. Brendon, I mean, they kind of pop up quickly. So I will give you the choice. I will give you Rory and Scotty or the field. Who you got if I give you those two choices?
It's such a hard question right now, because we've just talked about that these guys have put the separation in there. I'm a guy that likes to play against the wheel. I would still take the field. I think that there's always going to be the opportunity for another one of those. I don't even know what the field's going to be. 54 men. Another one of those probably 54 men to have the week of their life. I would still take the field, but I would have to think long and hard, and I would probably have to bet with your money on it as well.
Yeah, I don't have a lot either, Brendon, so that would be a bad deal. Hey, listen, I know you live in Charlotte. Are you a Panthers fan?
Of course, Doug, of course. And it was nice to see us make a little run there. We were young. The verdict was still out on Bryce Young last year. Was he too small? Could he win the big games? I think he silenced a lot of critics. It's going to be interesting to see what we can do this year moving forward.
Tell me this before I let you go. Bryce Young, of course, I'm stationed in Alabama, love Alabama football, have a history, worked there for many, many years. Bryce Young, Heisman Trophy winner, really had 2 incredible years at Alabama. Do the Panthers now sign him to one of those enormous contracts because he's on the verge? One more year, you have to commit. Is he a $40, $50 million quarterback?
It's interesting. I think he is, and I hate saying this, but I don't know where else you would go to find somebody that's going to be better right now. So I think they do. I think they sign him to that big deal.
Gosh, Brendon, we should have practiced our football better as young people, right?
Yeah, seriously, should have been a little bit more rehearsed on this one, Doug. I thought we were talking golf today.
Hey, listen, buddy, I really do appreciate it. You and I worked together on PGA Live several weeks back, and I wanted to get you on the show. And in all sincerity, I think you're doing an incredible job. And you and Johnson are a lot of fun. But when you're on the set by yourself, I'm just telling you, when I was interviewing you back when you were a player, I had no idea you were going to become this media man. And you do a great job, Brendon. You really do.
Well, that means a lot, Doug. For somebody that's been doing this for a long time, I really do appreciate hearing that from you. And it's, it really has been a lot of fun. I mean, getting to work with guys like you that have been doing this forever. It's pretty cool to see how good you guys are at your job.
Well, I am getting older. I guess experience is a good thing, right?
Without a doubt. Experience is always a good thing.
All right, buddy. All the best, and I'll see you out on the road.
Awesome. Appreciate it.